Hello friends from Mundo Maldini. I am here today at UFirst, which is one of the ones that makes the channel for all of you. And here in the UFirst offices, in this little entrance that is super nice, right. We are going to analyze the Champions matches on Wednesday, tomorrow Wednesday. I will be at Anfield tomorrow to comment on that Liverpool versus Real Madrid. And we will talk, of course, about what can happen in that Liverpool versus Real Madrid and in the rest of the matches of the day, because there is a lot and it is very interesting. So, as always, the predictions, the percentages, Wednesday's match day. Logically, we are going to start with the free for Real Madrid. Come on, let's go. Well, while we sadly see that PSV has just scored, Alessandro Del Piero has just appeared. Here you have Del Piero chatting. I don't want to disturb them, I'm going to get very close, but here we have Del Piero talking with Fabio Capello. I suppose you can see it. We have, this is Abraham, here on the right is Abraham, and the other is Okafor, who is here with Theo Hernandez, who will be a starter today. Watch out for the left wing of Milan with Theo Hernandez, and well, we have an absolute genius right in front of us. An absolute genius. One of my favorite players, Zlatan Ibrahimovic. The great Zlatan Ibrahimovic is right here, who is now involved with the club, of course. You just can't help but look away from Zlatan Ibrahimovic. He is looking at the Santiago Bernabeu, which is really something. This stadium is absolutely crazy. Let's go, friends of Mundo Maldito. We'll give away that Liverpool versus Real Madrid match. I'll be at Anfield, and you will have videos from Anfield to analyze what that match has been. You will have a video from the pitch at Anfield as soon as that match ends, which has the latest news on Vinicius' injury. We have to start there, logically, without Vinicius. Real Madrid at Anfield, let's see what team they will field. Logically, this opens up many possibilities, not only for Mbappe, who will definitely be a starter, but also the possibility that now Arda Güler plays and that Luka Modric also plays, for example, in midfield. Let's see who accompanies. Vinicius up front. It could be Endrick. I could also bet on Endrick. I think Mbappe will play on the left, and it's likely that he can include Hendrick. I believe Luka Modric could be a starter. Will Valverde initially continue at right back? I think Mendy will play at left back, but of course, how is Liverpool doing? Liverpool is currently at a high level. I believe that after watching the last 2 or 3 matches of Barca, I think Liverpool is the most informed team in Europe right now. He showed it again in Southampton, where he turned the match around. It's true that Southampton gifted him quite a bit. I think they gave away at least 2 of the 3 goals. Salah is doing very well. Luis Diaz is doing very well. Darwin Núñez is improving. McAllister causes a lot of damage when he comes on. Gravenberch is managing to be the best Gravenberch in quite some time. We are finally seeing the Gravenberch from Ajax that we couldn't see at Bayern. We are finally seeing him. In this Liverpool, Van Dijk looked much better at a great level. And above all, Liverpool impressed me more in this match. Evidently, Liverpool will try, I believe, fundamentally to make it a high-paced match. And that harms Real Madrid. Madrid has players to play back and forth matches, of course they do. But in these types of matches, Madrid has shown that they handle them much better with players who have more control. And the player with the most control is no longer there, which is Toni Kroos. And the second player with the most control I believe you can start is Luka Modric. I think that for Madrid, slowing down the pace of the game a bit is what might interest them, or what Madrid really needs. This Liverpool under Sloth is reminiscent of Klopp's Liverpool in the constant back and forth. A lot of rhythm, a lot of intensity, a lot of speed, getting well down the flanks. I see both Salah and Luis Diaz in great form. It is true that in the last national team match against Uruguay, Nandes marked Luis Diaz quite well. But of course I believe Valverde is a player who, I repeat, is not in his position. Certainly not as a right back. And I do not agree with those who say that he will end up being a great right back. It is not his position. He will play there out of necessity. And of course, a player like Valverde against Luis Diaz can defend him well. But it is certainly a serious problem not having a pure defensive fullback from Real Madrid in this match. And they do not have one. They do not have one. Friends of Mundo Maldini, I expect a good Camavinga, but it will certainly be a match of tremendous difficulty. There have been tremendous matches. I remember that match where Madrid lost, started losing 2-0, and ended up winning on May 2nd against Liverpool with an excellent match from Vinicius and Karim Benzema. Well, something similar can be repeated. It won't be easy because Liverpool arrives in great form, and Real Madrid, it is true, has been better in the last 2 matches, but they've been better against 2 rivals that proposed very little, like Osasuna and the one from Ghana. I insist, the absence of Vinicius could be very important. I am going to favor Liverpool. Obviously favor Liverpool. I am giving Liverpool a 50% chance to win. 35% for a draw and 15% for the other team to win. I thought of giving Real Madrid a little more, but it is evident that with Vinicius' absence, they should be given a little less. That Madrid can win at Anfield, maybe Salendri, who has an outstanding match, has players to do it. Perhaps Mbappe, I don't know, anything can happen. But it is evident that Liverpool, as it is, and on top of that, Madrid, with very important absences, because it forces Valverde to play as a fullback. Because the absence of Vinicius is decisive and fundamental, because he is an ideal player for this type of matches, exploiting space and everything we know, logically lowers the percentage. I insist, 50% for Liverpool, 35% for a draw, and 15% for Real Madrid. Let's go through the rest of the matches a bit faster. Aston Villa, Juventus. This match reminds me of Bonik, that fantastic Polish player. Played for Juventus in a European Cup semi-final in the 80s. I don't want to sound too much like a nostalgic old man, but in the 80s, a goal by Boniek at Villa Park in a European Cup semi-final when Aston Villa was a very strong team. In fact, they had won the cup the previous year. Reminds me of that match. Turning to the present, Aston Villa has gone 6 matches without a win. Konsa will not be there. Konsa's absence is significant, obviously. I have the feeling, friends of Mundo Maldini, that Juventus has a match they haven't lost yet in Serie A. There is doubt about Vlahovic. It's true that he is not fit, and it's true that Nico Gonzalez is not there. But still, as I see Aston Villa, who already did quite a feat by beating Bayern Munich, see Juventus slightly favored. I might settle for a draw for Juventus, but slightly favored. I'll give 30% to Aston Villa, 30% to the draw, and 40% to Juventus. That said, Emery is doing a great job at Villa Park with Aston Villa, I have no doubt about it. Let's move on to Sturm Graz versus Girona. Let's see. Sturm Graz will debut a new coach in the Champions League, Saumel, who already had a debut with a thrashing, by the way. In the last round, he won 7-0 in his Austrian league match. Let's see if he can improve. Girona is starting to recover players. It is a decisive match if Girona wants to at least enter playoffs. It should be noted that later Girona will play against Liverpool and Milan. They must win this match. If Sturm Graz shows that they will improve with their new coach, I have no doubt. But even so, I am going to favor Girona, who still doesn't have Angel Herrera, but has recovered some very important players. Obviously, the team of Mitchell. I trust Girona in this match that they can pull off. I will give 30% to Sturm Graz, 30% to the draw, and 40% to Girona. 30% Sturm Graz, 30% draw, 40% for Girona. Let's go with Monaco Benfica. Benfica is giving one good performance and one bad, because the great match they had against Atletico de Madrid was tremendous. But then they haven't been at the same level in other matches of this Champions League. They come from thrashing a modest team in the Portuguese Cup with a spectacular goal from Di Maria. I really like Artur Colom. I really like how the team plays. I really like this Benfica. But let's see. Benfica has already lost 2 matches in the Champions. I find Monaco to be a very dangerous team, very dangerous. They demonstrated it against Barca in Monaco and have been showing it in the French League. They have Brest on February 3rd. There are players that I have already talked a lot about, like Kliuch, for example, who is a player I love, and Benzagir, who I like a lot. Balogun is still injured and is an important absence, but even so, I believe this Monaco will be very difficult at home. For the Benfica, I will give Monaco 40%. 30% for the draw, and 30% for Benfica, 40% here, is going. And I greet some colleagues from UFest. 40% for Monaco, 30% for the draw, 30% for Benfica. Bologna-Lille. The truth is that the matches on Tuesday were better than those on Wednesday in terms of appeal, apart from that Liverpool-Real Madrid, obviously. But I am really enjoying Bologna-Lille. Orsolini has scored in the last matches, not in the last match he lost against Lazio, but he had been scoring quite regularly. Orsolini will not be in Ibiza. He will not be in Doge, an important player in Doge. For Lille, the key is David. It is true that Lille is having a Champions League performance far above their possibilities. He beat Real Madrid and he beat Atletico de Madrid. In that match against Atletico de Madrid in that way, and with that penalty controversy, without playing too well, but he ended up winning against Atletico de Madrid. I trust this Bologna under Italiano, which is by no means at the level of last season with Thiago Motta, but I believe Bologna should resolve this match. 45% for Bologna, 3% for a draw, and 25% for Lille. 45% for Bologna, 30% for a draw, and 25% for Lille. Let's go with Celtic Bruges, one of the matches that matters most. See you later. The great Alexis is leaving. The great Mr. Chip is leaving us as we have finished the program here. See you later, guys. A phenomenon, Alexis, you already know him well. I take this opportunity to say that you have to follow his channel, Alexis's channel, Mr. Chip, who is amazing on the channel, and he is a spectacle with the statistics and also a sensational person, as we are very good friends. Celtic Bruges. One of the most beautiful atmospheres I have ever seen in my life, and I have seen many packed stadiums, is that of Celtic Park. I said it the other day. Of course, the team conveys less to me. I was very surprised that they were able to beat Leipzig. I have to say that I was very surprised that they were able to win against Leipzig. Let's see Palma. Palma comes from a match that has surely been very important for him, which is the 2 goals he scored against Mexico with Honduras, the Honduran Palma. Then, right, Mexico came back against the Celtic of the Japanese. Bruges comes from beating Aston Villa, and he just won 7-0 against St. Truiden, by the way, in the Belgian League, the last match of the Belgian League. But I believe that the Celtic Park effect in this case can indeed work. By the way, I like Theolis, the forward. From Bruges, I will give 40% to Celtic, 30% to the draw, and 30% to Bruges. 40% to Celtic, 30% to the draw, and 30% to Bruges. Let's move quickly with PSV Shakhtar. Theoretically, without Luc de Jong, who seems to be unavailable. He has problems and might be out. They just beat Groningen 5-0 in the Dutch league. This PSV, which I find to be a very attractive team, plays well on the wings with Lang and Bakayoko. They have midfielders who arrive very well in attack from the second line. It is true that de Jong's absence could cause problems. And finally, Bondarenko and Sudakov are confirmed. They are the 2 players I like from this Shakhtar. But I have to give PSV as favorite. PSV at home is very tough. Very favored PSV. 60% for PSV, 30% for the draw. 10% for Shakhtar Donetsk. That's what I think. Very favored PSV. 60% PSV, 30% draw, 10% for Shakhtar. Let's move on to Estrella Roja, Stuttgart. I have to admit that Stuttgart expected a little more in this Champions League. It is also true that they played a very good match at the Bernabeu, but ended up losing. They were unable to beat Sparta Prague, which I found quite surprising. They won in Turin, but still, I expected a little more from this study. In the Champions League, they are having very bad luck. Injury to Undaz and injury to Leveling both have been injured. The 2 German internationals, the starting centre forward, 1 starting winger in attack. These are very important absences. I'm not convinced by Estrella Roja. It's true that the Serbian league is literally excelling. They are practically setting records. Let's see what Olajinka is capable of, for example, today. Sorry, Olajinka will not be able to be in Diage. Let's see what Y is capable of. Inca's drop can cause damage, but the study is favored, not clear favoritism. I'm going to give 30% to Estrella Roja, 30% to the draw, and 40% to Stuttgart. And we finish with Dinamo Zagreb, Borussia Dortmund. Dortmund just won big in the last match against Freiburg. Anton, the central defender, who is important, has returned. Duranville returned, as well as Reina, and 2009 will also come back. Sule, a key player, will not be there. And Adeyemi, who is fundamental, is still out. The Dinamo comes to draw 0-0 against Rijeka. I believe they are well below the level we expected. You know I love Baturina. I always say it in these videos. But for me, Borussia Dortmund is also the favorite. 20% for Dinamo Zagreb, 30% for the draw, and 50% to win for Borussia Dortmund. This is the match day. Logically, the big match will be at Anfield, and we will be there to comment on the Movistar game. Of course, you will have a video from Anfield. It's Liverpool versus Real Madrid. Enjoy the champions, friends of Mundo Maldini, and many more videos we will make. A hug. Bye, 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 bye.